The workforce reform agenda is encouraging all schools to use teaching assistants more effectively. That's resulting in many more training opportunities for TAs, moving away from the idea of simply throwing them in at the deep end.
All the training opportunities are really worth it. I think without that, I'm going to have a discontented workforce. It empowers people. It empowers people to move forward in their careers. It empowers them to know they are doing the right thing just simply with the children in the classroom.
That's excellent. Without that either.
Sarah O'Malley is a Level 1 teaching assistant at Corpus Christi School in Leeds. She's been in the position for a year and works mainly with special needs pupils.
Lovely, well done. It's very exciting to come into school on a morning, not knowing what the day might bring. It does make you want to get up on a morning. It does make you interested in what's going to happen during the day. It is very worthwhile, it's very rewarding. And at the end of the day, when you go home, you know that you've done a good job.
This programme looks at how Sarah's school is prioritising TA training and how she's embarking on a range of training opportunities. If you're a TA interested in professional development, Sarah's experiences could help you.
It's no good any longer thinking this is about teachers' professional development. There are a whole host of support staff working with pupils in school, and their professional needs need to be answered as well.
We'll see how Sarah's developed her role with some targeted training methods, like peer assessment, paired working, forums for sharing good practice, and annual appraisals. The training and development is implemented by Special Needs Coordinator Tina Beardall.
Pinpointing the actual problems as they perceive them and then addressing them, that's got to be a way of making somebody happy in their job, I would think.
There's a bit of yellow in the middle.
Like most TAs, Sarah spends much of her time in the classroom.
My role is to help pupils with special needs to be able to access the curriculum, especially within their classes, rather than being taken out of them. Universal indicator, right, so which one's the acid?
That one.
This one's the acid, this one's the alkali. So the first thing we need to do is put some acid into one of these. Today I just wanted it really to be a fun lesson for them and get them involved in science, in doing experiments. Put a tiny bit of acid in there and a tiny bit of acid in yours, Caroline, OK? With certain pupils, it can take them a little bit longer to process what's been said to them. Having somebody like me next to them just gives them that opportunity to just double-check what was said. What colour did it go?
That's on a red colour.
It has gone a red colour, can you see that? Red, very good. That means it's an acid.
Peer assessment is a training tool that's well established amongst teachers. At Corpus Christi, the opportunities for collaborative learning the technique provides have been extended to TAs for the first time. Sarah's working with fellow TA Yvonne Kincaid.
I think the nice thing about doing these paired observations is that it's open, everybody knows what's happening, we're allowed to read what's been written about us, so there's no secrecy about it. I think it all has to be open and above board.
Well remembered. What colour do you think it'll go?
Blue.
A blue, see? I think it does make you think about what you do in class and think about how somebody else would see what you do in class. It makes you wonder, are you making a worthwhile contribution in that classroom? When you put it in, drop it in and now squeeze the end.
Like this.
Pull it up and see, oh, good girl, right.
Former head teacher Gillian Tricoglis is an educational consultant who's working closely with local authorities on TA training.
But it's about collaborative learning, isn't it? You know, if you're talking about professional learning, one of the really key ways that professionals learn from each other is by working alongside. Teachers have known that for years. It's just the same for teaching assistants.
The principle of collaborative learning is also used at a weekly TA meeting. Here, the 16-strong support staff team share good practice and learn more effective ways of working from each other.
We particularly use it for talking about individual pupils. the difficulties that they're having at the moment, something that might be coming up for them the following week, like an annual review, or they might be going out on a work experience. So it's a very efficient way of collecting information and disseminating information. She's been noticeably less alert at lunchtime. She's still very independent. She still does everything for herself, but whereas she did have some interaction with other people, there's very little at the moment. Sometimes it's giving them more independence, setting them off on the work and then moving away from them so that they don't get too reliant on the support they're getting.
The idea is to see that she gets into the habit of being more independent, ready, if possible, to go into her local school.
We look forward to it. If there's anything that's happened during the week, I look forward to my Monday morning meeting so that I can bring it up, see if any other teaching assistants have had similar problems with their students, and see if they've found a way of dealing with it, see if there's any best practices that I could adopt.
She's still reluctant, but she's been here long enough to begin now to do a bit more on her own.
Is there some way of encouraging her to join in?
At
times when she won't look at you and won't acknowledge that you're there at all.
Don't crowd her, but just be gently insistent.
Yeah, gentle persuasion.
Gentle but persistent. To actually bring the problems and air them with everybody, and at least to know that the difficulty you're having with a particular pupil is shared by other people is useful.
The other pupils all did that, and she just sat there and sat there and sat there, and eventually I went and checked and she was just sitting and waiting for me to go, and she wouldn't.
But that kind of collaboration, professional discussion is absolutely essential, and it's about their status as part of the workforce in school. It's about them sharing their expertise and developing practice collaboratively as a group. It's really important.
Parts of the weekly meeting are set aside for specific training. Today, Tina's decided to run a session on anger management.
Do you feel confident enough in it to promote it with heads of year?
I wouldn't say no to doing it, but it would have to be a much smaller group than that. Yeah.
I could see it working with about 4 pupils, actually. I could see that was probably the smallest size of group, would be 4.
It's very beneficial, and also it makes you feel very worthwhile. I'm sure there are some teaching assistants who are just left to do their job, deal with it themselves, and don't really get any feedback or help from other people.
It's not just about the managers getting together and deciding how we will dictate to everybody else. It's getting those people together who work in similar places but have to work in isolation to share the ideas.
In a classroom, there will be a time when perhaps there has been some altercation, the teacher might be dealing with one, and you do get the opportunity to speak to the other.
Oh, you do it a lot, I do it every day.
The school encourages TAs to have a stake in their own career development. Sarah has a particular interest in literacy, and she's asked to spend time in the area.
Yeah, well done. I brought up with Tina in last year's annual review that I was very interested in the spelling groups and the literacy groups, because I could see from going into classes with different students how them not having the greatest English skills was a barrier to them learning. It would be pipe if you had a magic key onto that, because it changed the I sound to an I, to the name of it. And I can see the level of their work and how it's improved just with the little bit of extra support they're getting for basic reading and writing. Suddenly they're doing their homework, and just you can see the self-esteem in class has gone through the roof. That makes it worthwhile. So it does work, and I think it works as we thought it would. Me and my family have gone to the seaside. I'm jumping in the water, but I hope
I don't drown.
But I hope I don't drown.
Another idea borrowed from professional development for teachers is TAs working together on paired teaching tasks.
The benefits of having 2 people there is that although it is a small group, they are all at different levels.
It's like seven different groups, really, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because they're all so very different.
So I'm in there for 2 reasons. Firstly, to support Julia, but then secondly, to try and learn from her.
Who's got that word?
Cut with a magic key.
Jodie,
Cute.
Well done, you are, definitely.
Things that I'm learning from Julia, watching how she works with certain children, seeing how she addresses them, seeing how she deals with certain behaviours.
Does anyone think that there might just be a little mistake in there?
You.
There is a U. What's wrong with the U? It shouldn't be there. Just rub the U out, Georgie, please.
She's helped me at times when I've been stuck. She's given me different ideas of different ways to approach different tasks. When I started last year, I would have been absolutely dreading being left in the classroom with them. Now I'm fine.
Because now I have to do chores.
Well done, that's lovely.
How do you think we can get more from her? Give her more of a story, maybe?
No, I think we need to give her less of a story. What do you think is happening in the picture?
Just the
I think we need to bring it right back.
Sarah's got the confidence to be able to go out and maybe next year lead a literacy group herself. So that's sort of spilled over. It's widened her experience and widened the benefits for the children as well.
An annual appraisal is a key event for TA development. It identifies weaknesses, strengths and, crucially, ambitions for the future.
I think it's actually there. What I'd like to concentrate on are the areas where you feel that you either lack knowledge or you haven't been given opportunities to do what you wanted to do, so that we can move those things forward for you next year. OK.
What you say in your appraisal, what you'd like to do, as best she can, she will make sure that you have some kind of involvement in that. And by the time the next appraisal comes, hopefully you've met some of your targets.
Are you looking next year to either lead or support one of the other small groups in literacy?
Yeah, definitely.
By September, do you think you'd feel ready enough to lead a group?
Were it not for the appraisal, I would not be in the literacy classes that I'm in now. It was the appraisal that brought that up, and it was Tina acting on it and asking me if I wanted to be involved.
So maybe you can have a look at the programmes and see whether you would feel up to delivering that.
It is part of the progressive government agenda that all support staff will be part of performance management, which is essentially what appraisal processes are about. Currently, no, it's not an obligation that they have, but clearly some schools recognise that that's really an important part of the status, really.
It pinpoints where we've, as a team, got to improve things. And the appraisal for one person may improve, in fact, the whole working environment for everybody else. Now then, talking about training, I think one of your targets for next year has got to be to complete the LEA's induction course.
Yes.
The workforce reform agenda that has been in place from the government initiative in the last couple of years is making it so that schools have to think about how they use their support staff more effectively. And not every school will do it in the same way, but that investment is really essential.
I don't think on-the-job training would work if there wasn't the constant contact. We know that she does get feedback from teachers, good and bad. And the peer assessment now, I think, is going to be a really good thing, because sometimes it's hard to boast about something that you've done brilliantly. So I think in that way it might highlight some of the benefits that we do bring to the school.